matters which consumer you're talking about. And I think that's something you've been talking about.
Meaning that they may be spending up 0.3% according to Bank of America over the last month, but at some point that is not going to continue because they don't have the cash cushion. Maybe they're finally spending down this cash cushion that they've also had since checks were going out back in 2022.
Correct.
And if you look as well, I should say.
And the only debt that's not going up is mortgage debt. If you look at the burden, credit card debt higher, car loan debt higher, delinquencies on both are higher, right? So the liability side is flashing yellow. The cash side has been okay so far, but if he's right, we're getting to a stage where the lower income people, now the big question has always been, does this weakness migrate up? And this is why people worry about things becoming non-linear, that it gets worse slowly, then it gets worse quickly. Certainly on the employment side, we have enough evidence to suggest that we are near that risk. We have enough evidence to suggest that we are
Which means what? Now that you've laid out that scenario, what do we do with it?
You heard me say the Fed should have cut in July. If I was sitting in the Fed, I would have a serious discussion about a 50 basis point cut right now. They did it last year. So if I was there, I would have significant discussion about 50. I would want to know how much of the weakness in the labor market is on the demand side or on the supply side. But you need that conversation. And then you need to realize that's not sufficient. Yeah. We also need to move forward on the deregulation agenda to make sure that the supply side responds. I am very optimistic as to what's going to happen to productivity in a few years. I really do believe in the AI, positive shock, life sciences, robotics. Those are all productivity enhancers. We just have to get through the next year or two.
Mohammed, thank you very much, and thank you for being with us for so many years.
Thank you. It's been a joy.
The Mets.
A joy, as he
might
gives you a hard time about the Mets,
the Mets might
the Jets.
I don't want the Mets. The Reds are only 3 games back now.
They're not. I mean, the only thing that's good about the Mets is the collapse came in August and not in June.
It did. I was there. I saw a game last week. The Friday game was a heartbreaker last week. Did you see that? Reds had bases loaded, and you saw it bottom of the 9th. You love that.
Heartbreaker. The Jets heartbreaker. I mean, I live heartbreaker.
No, but then the Mets. I saw a win the next day.
But the awful thing is the Reds are going to beat us and get into the wild card at our expense.
Oh, I hope that happens because there aren't many games left. They're 3 games back now.
I know.
God, I'm praying.
There were 7 games back last week. Okay?
If it's at your expense, I don't want it to happen.
And that summarizes my history on scorecards right there.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mohammed, appreciate it. After this, another regular on the broadcast, Senator Ted Cruz, is going to join us to talk about his efforts to secure a testing area for AI and what he's calling a regulatory sandbox. He's going to join us to explain. But first, as we head to a break, President Trump and Vice President Vance taking some cabinet members out to dinner in D.C. last night. They went to Joe's Seafood Prime Steak and Stone Crab on 15th Street.
Stone Crab.
CNBC's Phil LeBeau happened to be there at the time.
Is this shot on his iPhone?
Sent us his video.
There were Palestinian protests.
President Trump saying Washington is now a safe zone weeks after federal authorities were mobilized to control crime. Squawk Box coming right back after this. Yeah.
better.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz, chairman of the Commerce Committee, is introducing some AI legislation on Capitol Hill this morning. He joins us exclusively with our CNBC Washington correspondent, Emily Wilkins. Take it away, Emily.
Hey, Joe, thank you so much. And thank you, Senator Cruz, for being on with us today. Obviously, the chair of the Commerce Committee, the committee that oversees AI. I wanted to talk about your new bill. It includes, basically, it allows AI companies to get waivers for some of their products on federal regulations. How would those waivers work?
So that's exactly right. This week I'm introducing legislation that is a regulatory sandbox legislation. A sandbox is an approach other countries have taken, the United Kingdom has taken, where you allow innovation and you allow exceptions from otherwise burdensome regulations, rather. This is part of President Trump's AI action plan. And I got to say, the stakes here are enormous. You know, this summer, China laid out its plan to accomplish its audacious goal of dominating AI by 2030. China is spending every day, it is spending massive amounts of money to beat the United States. And the question of who wins the race for AI is going to determine who prospers and who loses in the coming decades. And as far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm chairman of the Senate Commerce Committee, everything possible is going to be done for America to win the race for AI because the future, the prosperity of workers depends on it.
So a lot of focus here on innovation, but how do we make sure that these regulations that are supposed to protect consumer safety, consumer privacy are still being implemented? Well,
the way the regulatory sandbox legislation works is that AI innovators can make applications to the federal government to get an exception from a particular regulatory system to experiment, to innovate. And I'll give an example. In the United Kingdom, they've employed AI to deal with strokes. And they've ended up tripling the rate of returning to functional independence. So helping people recovering from a stroke, getting back healthy. In the United States, it's incredibly difficult to innovate because the HIPAA laws are so constraining that accessing the medical data is difficult. That's an example where if you could get an exemption, and the way the legislation is written, you would apply to the federal government for an exemption for a particular regulation. The federal government would grant those, but then would report periodically to Congress specifically what regulations were granted exemptions so that you would have ongoing oversight. But the purpose of this, one country or another is going to win this race for AI. And if we constrain our innovators here, it's going to be other countries rather than America. We can't let that happen.
And Senator, this is just one part, I know, of a larger plan that you have on AI. What other legislation can we expect to be coming?
Well, we are looking comprehensively across the board at how do we win and how do we beat China. And by the way, in terms of my chairmanship, beating China has been a consistent theme. So whether it is beating China to win the race for AI or beating China to 6G as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, one element of it was my legislation to free up 800 megahertz of spectrum to auction so we win the race to 6G, or beating China in the Arctic. Part of, again, the One Big Beautiful Bill was $24 billion invested in the Coast Guard, the biggest investment in the history of the Coast Guard. A huge part of that is building polar ice cutters because China right now is beating us badly in the Arctic, or beating China in space. Another very important part, $9.5 billion in the One Big Beautiful Bill, was to fund going back to the moon. China wants to go to the moon by 2030. And I'll tell you, if we wake up and turn on the TV and we see China on the moon, if they've beaten us to the moon, if they've seized the prime strategic real estate on the moon, I think that moment would be worse than Sputnik. And so my objective is we're going to beat China across the board. And when it comes to AI, you know, I'm reminded of 30 years ago. Actually, today is the 30th anniversary of Squawk Box, so this is quite fitting. 30 years ago, right when y'all were getting started, the race for the internet was starting. And Bill Clinton, obviously a Democrat, signed an executive order that embodied a light-touch regulatory approach to the internet. At the same time, Europe, the EU, decided to go down the road of a very heavy-handed prior approval regulatory approach. The consequences were maddening. And In 1993, the American economy and the European economy were virtually identical. Today, the American economy is more than 50% larger than the EU, and the two drivers of that are tech and the shale revolution. We won the race for the internet. We've got to win the race for AI.
And Senator, I know you also talked about preemption before. Just very quick, yes or no, are you going to be able to offer something else on preempting state laws?
Absolutely. We're moving forward. We're working hand in hand with President Trump, with David Sachs in the White House, because if you end up having Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass and Comrade Mamdani setting the rules for AI, it's a sure way to ensure we lose to China.
Got it. Senator Ted Cruz, thank you so much. Guys, back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Emily. Right now, and our thanks to Senator Cruz as well. We appreciate him and the times he's come on Squawk with us. Right now, as we head to a break, let's take a look behind the scenes of Squawk Box and some of the folks that actually make the magic happen every day. This is the control room back in Eaglewood Cliffs. Guys, turn around for a minute. Lots of our friends and family who are here.
The responsible parties.
Greg Lord, Paul DeFabio, our director, Matt Greco, Terry King, Octavius Williams, Dave Evans, Dan Mescott, Rob Contino, Patrick Brooks, George Meneses, and John LaFont's not in this control room. He sits over on the side, but he's our audio guy who has been with us for almost all of the last 30 years. Took a brief hiatus, and then we lured him back. Oh, right there.
There he is.
I just saw him. Turn around, guys. Look at the camera. Look this way. Mwah! Thank you, guys. Squawk Box will be right back.
Lord of the Fries is the best.
That's yours, I believe.
No, that was John Schoen, one of our.
Okay.
Yeah, but we also had.
Because he made a fortune. For those who don't know, he made a fortune selling potatoes to McDonald's.
Tater Tycoon.
Tater Titan, I kind of like.
Spud Stud.
Yeah.
We've got them all.
Yeah, that, among other things, lava lamps and Austin Powers. Hey, you there, Faber and Jim and Carl? We used to do a swing sound.
Yeah, we did swing with
Austin Powers. I mean,
Viagra,
we got away
right?
with.
We did Viagra.
We got away with murder.
Real slow.
Hallelujah for
Victoria's
GE.
Secrets.
Hallelujah for GE.
Jack always watched.
Haynes would slow
that was
down.
Greco's voice, wasn't it? Matt Greco's voice.
That
Yeah.
was. Haynes would slow down on the Victoria's Secrets video, and then someone would do a swing sound. I mean, it was out of control. It was. I'm ashamed. You know what? I regret a lot of. Actually, I don't.
The lava
Actually,
lamps.
I don't.
Look at you, Faber. Look at
Faber,
you.
I thought that was just now. Honestly, David is not.
Joe, those were great years. Those first 10 years, you know, come on. I mean, you and I.
A lot of
chatting it up.
hairspray going on there.
Every
Look at
iteration
that.
of.
Jeez, not a lot of hairspray.
Oh my
Get a
God.
haircut.
Could you do that today?
Where's the makeup? Jeez, makeup. I was angry.
Wow.
Every iteration,
Really? You
every
angry?
iteration has
Never.
been great. I heard you guys yesterday.
There
I
he
heard
is,
you guys.
talking to Nia.
I heard you guys yesterday. Faber, what you said? I had not. How many years did we have together? And you said I had blah blah blah. And then Carl goes, well, I had. You know, and both of you acted like it was. I don't know.
I was doing your imitation
my
of De
time?
Niro that you always would do from that movie, right?
14 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
14
Could you be
years,
their counselor?
Yeah, 14 years, 10 years across from Joe
surrounded by
Kernan.
people that were less than human.
I always think, guys, how much clowning around. I don't think any other show could do this. You could clown around and do the morning zoo thing, but there were other days. Remember the day Lehman fell, Becky, where it was deadly
Right.
serious, and the
Yeah.
show could still process all of that.
September 11th, which is tomorrow, and yeah, we've been through the ringers,
There it is,
guys,
Qualcomm.
all together, and we're still together. And now I'm going to start getting.
We were
Crying
talking
yesterday.
earlier about how this really is a family situation. Because you spend this long together, you spend this much time together. We've all, 6 of us, watched each other's kids grow up.
Yep.
We've all gotten to know each other's spouses. We've all kind of lived it. We probably spend more time together than we spend with our spouses a lot of days. Talk to each other
who
more.
many of us met here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Before Me Too,
1, 2,
we
3.
solved the Me Too
Not
by
me.
marrying them. They can't testify.
I remember, Joe. I go with you and I remember when you met Penelope.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You liked her too, Faber.
What?
Sure, of
Yeah,
course.
he
I
did.
Okay, we're
I
delving
wouldn't.
into a little weird here.
He did.
Oh my goodness gracious.
All the secrets
Oh,
it's
my
a tell
goodness
all.
I
gracious.
liked a lot of people.
I was going to say that. That doesn't narrow things down. The Faber.
There's Greco.
The Faber hold. No, it's fun.
The amazing thing is though, how many people are still here, both of us on air and on the staff behind us, and that's because this is such a niche. And I think you were just getting at it, Carl, with the idea that, you know, it's not just goofing around, but you really have to know your stuff, you really have to know business, and we have such a great crew of people who are working with us who know all of that, and it's why none of us leave. We love it.
Yep. And David, you said yesterday, you were right. Unscripted I've had Morning Joe, say that part of the unscripted nature that they got, I mean, that's a high compliment that part of that format was from the early Squawk format.
I can remember
and
our earliest
Kramer's
days,
still
Joe.
bringing the heat. Still bringing the heat.
Oh, yeah.
Still bringing the heat, and I
still bringing the
remember when they would come to us. I remember AT&T was doing some sort of restructuring. It was a moment for us. We were like, wait
That's
a
when it
second,
happened.
we're out here,
Right.
we're just trying to figure out what's going on.
That's right.
Because it's on the wires. There was no internet.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
The democratization of the information flow that people take for granted now.
Yeah.
Right? You guys were at the spear. You were tip of the spear on that stuff.
We were, I mean, I would talk to him in the morning to get the research. Of course, he was trading ahead of that, telling me.
That was
of course.
Here,
David, do this.
Wow.
Do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, my marionette. It was perfect.
It was perfect. No, we got to get all, but remember, and then we trashed the analysts, right, Joe? That was the other thing that we did a lot of back then.
Now I'm hearing we got
Where's the Penguins?
Yeah.
We may have
Now
to go.
I'm hearing we got to go because they got. And
I
you
used
said
to
you
come
got.
I used to
gotta
come,
go.
by the way, with Carl. I used to come on Wake Up Call here in this
5 a.m.
studio back in the day, like 5 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. Frequent guest, and then look what happened. We got our hooks in him.
We stole them.
Yeah.
We stole them.
did.
And
You guys were
still,
We're so proud of you and
Yes.
happy
Yes,
for you.
you. This is a team event.
It's all of us.
It's all of us. It's been a long
Totally.
time.
But now I
Amazing.
got to thank you and say it's time for Squawk on the Street.
We got to roll.
Gotta go.
We'll see you
Guys,
later.
We'll see you soon. Joe, Becky, and Andrew. It is a big week for Squawk Box and a big day here at the New York Stock Exchange today, too. Buy now, pay later firm Klarna going public with one of this year's biggest IPOs. But first, talk about shares of Oracle soaring in the pre-market thanks to this AI demand. Company says it expects booked revenue from its core cloud business to exceed $500 billion, and that news overshadowed this quarterly miss. This is Safra Katz on the call last night.
We now expect Oracle Cloud Infrastructure will grow 77% to $18 billion this fiscal year, and then increase to $32 billion, $73 billion, $114 billion, and $144 billion over the following 4 years. Much of this revenue is already booked in our $455 billion RPO number, and we are off to a fantastic start this year.
Morgan Stanley desk today, Jim. I've been doing this a really long time, and I tell my whole team, pay attention to this because this is a career event happening right now.
I think it's true. This is a masterful conference call and from a very large cap stock. And I have not seen a move overnight. In particular, we did have that May move a couple years ago with NVIDIA, but this is not like that. David, this is one where I'm on the conference call and I'm saying, no, not true, can't be. And then look, the most you can say is look, it's entirely possible that some of it is one large customer that we know, right?
It is a number of customers, but certainly OpenAI is an important component of this. And Stargate, but a lot of that has already been booked.
Right.
But to your point, I mean, I had a conversation with a large technology investor this morning who's been around for a long time and simply said, I've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it. Was expecting, sure, what they call RPO to go from, backlog essentially from about maybe 150 to 200, but to 450 plus $billion.
Yeah, and
it was, and the analysts are following that same thing. I mean, and they're near 20 years covering Oracle, says the Deutsche Bank analyst. For that matter, the entire software industry. There are a few quarterly results that match this in terms of magnitude of revision and clarity of the moment.
And how about the fact that it comes with at a moment where I think there were a lot of shorts pressing Oracle because the last quarter was just only okay. But more importantly, there were a lot of people who were saying, hey, listen, the data center, that's over. Let's move on. Mag 7 over. Elite 8 over. This was it. And then no. I mean, completely wrong. Completely wrong. And I think this caught a lot of people looking the wrong way.
If that's true, should other names be trading higher than they are?
I think they should be, but it's not happening. I would have thought that Broadcom, which is in the mix, would be up more. Taiwan Semi, which is in the mix, would be up more. And, of course, NVIDIA, because it's NVIDIA's shop. But NVIDIA is one of those stocks that has just gone so out of favor that literally there are people who are afraid to take it up. Now, we're going to be speaking to Vlad Tenev later today. David, have you ever
Robinhood, we should point out. Yep.
Have you ever seen overnight buying like this, moving a large cap stock?
This is really this is an extraordinary moment. It's funny to go back 30 years, and then it takes me deeper into the .com moment. But we had certain days, certain things like that, and this is kind of one of them. Again, history rhymes. It doesn't necessarily repeat, as Twain said that, right? Yeah, I think so. But that's just similar to that. And of course, I mean, a move like this in a company that already had a $600+ billion market value coming in is truly shocking. We'll do the math later on what Larry Ellison's net worth is going to be, because you are talking about conceivably one of the largest increases in net worth the world has ever seen. He's probably approaching Musk in terms of world's wealthiest man. But that just goes to show there. But, what about OpenAI? I mean, they seem to I don't know. Are they're spending so much money that it's supporting everything?
They're spending a huge amount of money, and I think that look, somebody wants to win. We're going to talk about Apple later. Somebody wants to win. Maybe whoever ties up with Apple wins. Now that we know that the Google trade, where Google gives them $20 billion to be preloaded, is a legal trade. Carl, it's funny. Not funny. It is ironic. We talk about 30-year, like David said. Yep. We have a big deal. Klarna today. This feels like the old days. Someone made a huge amount of money. Someone hit double zero on Oracle. Someone's going to hit zero on Klarna. being good, by the way, because that's what ruins for black and red at the casino. But I just think today feels like we should be front and center in the country's discussion. That's how much money's being made. And yet we've become, we were moved to a sideshow for a long time because the equity market kind of went as a place that people didn't put money. But here we've got Vlad Tenev from Robinhood. We've got this. We've got overnight trading. The excitement is here, and the only people who are keeping it back are the people in the industry who seem to be so reticent. I've watched all these great interviews with CEOs. They all act like, hey, well, it's business as usual. They're like out of their minds. They should be saying, listen, this is the most halcyon time we have had maybe in 20 years.
You're referring to sentiment among institutional trading?
Institutional trading, and the CEO, like Charlie Sharp. I love Charlie. Okay, he talks this morning. It's like things are good. We've had a lot of, yesterday Goldman Sachs was up gigantic. Oh, things are good. No one is saying the truth, which is that, you know what, there's a chance that we're going to have a renaissance here. Renaissance in stocks, where people have to be in stocks and no more index funds.
Right.
People have to be in stocks.
How do you think how can that be happening when 3 of the last 13 payroll prints now have been negative?
I think there's a lot of money sloshing around. I really do. I think there's a lot of money on the sidelines that we didn't count. A lot of new money coming in. Wealth transfer, 100 trillion going from people who had boring accounts into people who want to play.
And it's just got nowhere else to go.
And have nowhere else.
Yeah, your point, though, about index funds versus individual stocks, the index 10 companies, including Oracle, now represent 40%. So why not just own the S&P? Because you are going to benefit from this.
The reason is because you made so much money in Oracle last night that you no longer are in the same status as you were before you came into it. You were a different status if you had some Oracle.
That's a fair point.
You had 1,000 shares of Oracle, you're in a different status. But we don't want to do that. No, we want to be an index fund. That's one of 500.
You are mitigating risk. You're one of 500, but really you're almost, you're 40% in 10.
I'm just saying that there's, like Costin did the other day, the 493. You know what? Okay, so maybe there's like 490 that you're not doing. You go buy Sherwin-Williams all you want, paint dry, man. I'm saying that if you owned Oracle, you have a different life today. If you own NVIDIA. I went to a restaurant, it's Phuket, it's not bad, by the way. And a guy comes up to me and he goes, can I shake your hand? I said, why? He goes, NVIDIA. I said, sure, thank you. I leave. Guy says, can I have my picture with you? I said, why? NVIDIA. I said, what does it mean to you? It changed my life, NVIDIA. Oracle's changed somebody's life, then we're not allowed to talk about that.
Well, it takes you back to the days of the 90s and Microsoft millionaires, right?
And that's what I'm talking about. Microsoft made a lot of millionaires.
Or Amazon or Alpha. Well,
did you see Amazon was added to the vintage list of Morgan Stanley vintage? What's that, like the Camus 40-year?
Meantime, I think
it is an important day for overall AI infrastructure. OpenAI, there are other clients as well that have added to this enormous backlog increase at Oracle. We don't know the names. We'll get more details, by the way, in about a month or so, when Oracle is going to give us more details at Oracle World.
I'm thinking of changing everything and going if they let me.
I'm potentially, yes.
You're going?
Yeah, I may. We'll see. Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
You already go?
Yeah, no, you're not coming. No. You get to go do other exciting things. Okay.
Oracle World's supposed to have good food.
Good food. Yeah, and then, but OpenAI is still a private company. And so, back to this idea of Klarna today and how important that is, and the IPO market's opening. The most important, one of the most important companies in the world is a private company called OpenAI, and it's responsible for a lot of what's going on.
What are you hearing about OpenAI doing some business with Amazon?
I don't know.
Yesterday, yeah.
I don't know. I saw the Microsoft Anthropic at least reporting about a new relationship there.
Well, I'm just saying that I think that some of these companies are questioning how big this really is. The RPO. Many forms of application.
Well, do we know? By the way, free cash flow, is negative at Oracle because they're spending so much money. What are the margins on this business?
I think they're near zero.
Okay, so is it an overreaction then in terms of long-term profitability not being what people expect?
Yeah, I really want to go against. This is a good day to go against Larry Ellison, Safra doubting them. I'll let you do that.
I'm just asking the question there.
I do think someone has to ask how much money they're going to make on it. What's the matter with asking that? Because I listened to those analysts on that conference call. What are they like? They're like housemen.
Yeah, they were not prepared. We got two upgrades. Citi goes to buy 410. B of A goes to buy 368. So some catch up.
Right. But Safra has always been money. I've liked hers from the day I met her. I would never doubt her. They did have 2 quarters that didn't work, but she said stick with it. Came on the show, dead right. Thank you, Safra Cox, for making a lot of people millionaires.
Her wealth alone is rivaling Oprah Winfrey's
And
now.
she's very charitable.
It's incredible. No, an incredible year for Oracle.
Well,
Incredible.
do you agree with me at all with the idea that if someone had 1,000 shares of Oracle today, they're in a different bracket, their lives are changed?
They're certainly feeling much better, yes. I can't speak to their lives being changed, whether money is at the root of why and if your life improves
Robert
completely.
Frank told me.
I like to think it's more about the
not about the money,
friendships
it's
you
about
have
money.
and the relationships.
I'm a dollar sign represented by a man.
I'm
You got
well
the
aware.
wrong guy. You were dealing with the wrong guy.
I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to
Did you
keep
see
trying.
any of that the squawk box when I was talking? I clearly indicated that I had nothing else in my mind other than whether it's
Back then, well, actually, you haven't changed at all. Not a bit.
And that's why I'm vintage.
You are vintage.
Meantime, PPI is the other big story today, and this inflation data surprise. August PPI and the core rate each unexpectedly falling to 0.1% month on month. Comes ahead of next week's Fed meeting. The street expecting a rate cut, although increasingly, I think about a 1 in 6 chance now, Jim, of a 50. El Arian, Rick Reeder, both arguing for 50.
Jeez, I like Rick Reeder so much. I like Valerie. I don't mean to short, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I did feel like the Powell. It was like something like Powell was like, geez, I don't know, the president, maybe he's got a point there. I am watching certain commodities. Now, we said 60% of the August decline. It was unprocessed goods for intermediate demand. Traced in crude petroleum, fell 2.8%. Grain, upgraded chicken, eggs, natural gas. Guys, you need to watch steak. I think the cattle futures broke yesterday.
You think we're rolling over on beef prices? You said this yesterday.
Yep, because they were down 2.3%. I think that steak.
What are people just? Is the demand going away? Because the herd is declined dramatically. You think it's starting?
I'm saying the herd's expanding. That's what I really do.
They're pulling heifers to.
I think they're pulling heifers.
All right.
But they do like each other.
They do.
Yeah, we were counting on it. Yes.
Seriously, and cows, they can. I mean, they do a lot of like checking each other out, but mostly like the male checks out the female.
So you think what do we go from 32 million to 29? We're going to go back up.
And I got to tell you, that's why I think the Potbelly deal.
Yes.
Could be a steal.
Yes, Potbelly finally getting bought, right?
Always a bride, never always bridesmaid, never bride. But right down here, they have really good cookies. Don't forget that.
Okay, I won't.
There was some discussion in the print today about margins, services margins, for example, down 1.7.
Interesting, and that
a little bit of a squeeze.
Could be related to brokerage. Come down a little.
Right.
Per you do a divisor.
That said, Jim, long end yields went higher on this print, and gold went higher on this print.
We don't want that. Remember, we have to have so inventory housing. You see that little bit of a tick up there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going the president's way, but I think the president's focused on hurting some of the relationships that we were hoping for.
You mean on trade the trade front?
Yeah. Well, what, the 100% tariff on
China,
no one talked about
and,
that.
yeah.
China, for anyone taking the Russian oil.
It's hard to keep. I mean, at this point, I don't know. But,
Well, you just kind of forgot it.
I mean, we're at 18. What are we? 18% all in? Is that where we are, tariffs?
Roughly.
But
I mean,
again,
that's not what's getting collected,
Right.
because CPB can't enforce this all at once.
How about
Meanwhile, the number itself is reflective of, well, it hasn't seemed to matter.
But how about the fact that Justice Roberts just said, okay, here's what's going to happen. Remember the old the Chief Justice is more powerful than ever.
The Supreme Court has taken on the tariff case, and they've done it on a.
President's got the cards with the Supreme Court, as he would say.
Well, you can't don't prejudge it, Jim.
That's what you do.
Arguments in November.
I think we go to the predictive Robin Hood, again, Vlad Tenev, I'm hyping that interview.
Yeah, I see that.
And find out whether we can't just say, listen, I think the Supremes are headed in favor of tariffs.
The administration is also talking about the fact that if it were to go against them, the process of refunding money could be a difficult one.
Didn't Peter Navarro say something like it's Armageddon? If we don't get that?
You would know better than I.
I went to school with Kagan, Justice Kagan. And, she was a lame to that, but so not more. And I'm counting her against the president. You want to do my head count?
She's only one of 3 votes.
But China, they don't have the cards. I told you. They don't have the
All
horses.
right, so then it's
They don't have
upheld. The
horses.
emergency powers are upheld, and there's
Here's
the latest from the
president.
president.
What's he saying?
Responding to PPI, no inflation, too late, which is he doesn't even say Powell anymore.
Mr. President should be talking about how there's a little bit of housing inventory, the price is going down. He's not even doing that.
Actually, there's a good piece, a good profile of Waller in the Journal. They call his bid for chair long shot, but they do say this is the guy who spotted labor weakness much earlier than others.
Well, I mean, do we need 50? Do we need more at the next meeting?
I hate
mean,
the 50
given that,
because then we get
employment
spiked
is
up.
not looking great. I mean, I heard, El Arian this morning on Squawk Box sort of indicating
That would be
maybe it
electric.
should be more. And then we've obviously do not have, at least judging from this morning's numbers, significant inflation.
What would you have said 30 years ago when you look great? Well, not that you don't look great now. What would you have said when Squawk 30 years ago about 50 versus 25?
I have no idea.
You would have done the briefcase
I
indicator.
would have. Alan Greenspan was the Fed chair. We knew nothing. We literally based it on how big his briefcase was going into the meeting.
Perfect.
And by the way, it worked sometimes.
Yeah. There was no forward guidance.
No guidance, no press conference, no nothing.
Well,
it's
why
like,
is every-
how big is Greenspan's briefcase?
The indices keep going to highs. What does that say? This is a good time, but these CEOs, come on. Like one of them was just talking about a brand new building and nothing else. What was that? 17 different restaurants, Danny Meyer. How about the averages?
No idea.
The guy from
No
Tufts.
idea.
You
The
haven't
guy from
changed.
Tufts.
Yes, the great CEO from Tufts.
Yeah. Hey, I was going to ask you, how did Phil's do last night?
1977 graduate. We really have to go. You haven't changed a bit in 30 years.
Jim's right, though. We could be on pace for the 23rd record for the S&P so far this year. And as Jim said, still to come, Robinhood's chief Vlad Tenev will join us after delivering the keynote last night at the company's Hood Summit. Take a look at the pre-market responding to not just Oracle, but PPI. We're back in a minute.
We got 8 minutes to the opening bell, and there's the CEO, Klarna, going to be, of course, doing the honors, as you might expect. Big IPO today. Where it was priced roughly a $15 billion market value at open, Jim. But, of course, we'll see how it performs as, again, one of the more high-profile IPOs we've seen.
Now
Not just buy now, pay later, by the way.
Right. They seem to have wanted it higher, right? They didn't. The underwriters wanted lower, get a bigger pot. These guys are different.
They got it done at, what, 40, I think, right?
Yeah, so very interesting. Smart guys.
As our viewers know, it may be a while till it opens. It's been around for a long time. As high as $45 billion value at one point when SoftBank put money in.
The product's great. Now, David.
What do you got for the Mad Dash?
Okay, I'm going to make a bold call here. I have not really cared for the stock of Nike for a long time.
Okay.
That's over. I think just as Lululemon, decent, it's time to buy Nike. Callan agrees with me. The key thing with Nike has been the inventories. Are they low enough? I think you have to anticipate now the bottom. I think the Foot Locker deal is good with Dick's. They've got a lot of, Dick's is going to be good. David, there's a man, and his name is Elliott Hill. And Elliott Hill understands the tradition. He came back after being retired, didn't have to do this. He understands the tradition of Nike. He understands Steve Prefontaine. He understands everything about Nike. And I've got to tell, enough with the Shoe Dog. Everyone's read Shoe Dog. But
great book.
It is a great book. I had him on. I had my buck on. Yeah. But David, he's real. He's bringing back the magic. There is magic there. Maybe China turns last. He's just a sensational guy. I mean, bring tears to your eyes about how much he remembers the Jordans, how to do things.
This is a turn for you on Nike. I mean,
I've been very negative for years.
You have not been particularly positive.
For years, I've been negative. And I am telling you right now, I'm trying to figure out, how much do I want this for my charitable trust? I think Elliott is so for real. It is. I'll tell you, it brings tear to your eyes how great he is. It's like the old days.
Really? Something that you would get that emotional about.
Yes, I would be that
emotional. Start to cry.
Yes, I would be that emotional. Okay. Absolutely.
All right. More tears from Jim and a lot more opening bell 5 minutes away. Don't go anywhere.
As David and Jim mentioned, Klarna set to make its public debut here at the big board today, listing under the ticker KLAR. The buy now, pay later firm says it raised almost $1.4 billion, priced its IPO at 40. That's above the range and values the company at about 15. CEO will join us in the next hour. Although, David, you said it's a bit more than just buy now, pay later.
It is, and they're going to, I know that they're going to position it this way as they have been, far beyond just that, in the sense of really the part of their business they're focused on is gathering merchants and competing as a debit card with credit card companies and being a broader provider in that way, and then giving you a lot more transparency into your purchases. And so you're almost the default for many people. So yes, buy now, pay later is an important part of their overall business, but it's not where they really want to be focused in terms of growth, Jim.
At the same time, they seem to be remarkable in the number of defaults. And just their whatever system they have is very predictive, much better than banks.
Yeah, and they did an exclusive with Walmart not that long ago. Stripe is their default, right? Yep, exactly. In a platform that they use. And so, we have plenty to ask. And as obviously back in 21, this thing was valued at multiples even of where it is going public. At the same time, about a year later, as you see right there, it was $6.7 billion. So interesting to sort of note how it's gone and the number of times they thought they were going to go public and then didn't, and finally here they are.
I was going to say, one of on the list of longtime IPO hopefuls, this is up there, right?
Yes.
Sebastian's been coming on for several years.
We're beginning to see the have-have-nots of that 2019-2020 vintage
Fintech.
of IPOs. Holy cow! Some of them are really starting to make people a lot of money. I'm thinking of the DoorDashes of the world.
But a lot of them ran up enormously, and then came down. Now they're still well above their IPO price, but there's a lot of people who got in who got hurt, Jim.
Well, I think that you're finally having some good fortune.
Let's get the opening bell here on the CNBC Real-Time Exchange at the big board. As we said, it is Klarna, digital bank, flexible payments provider. We're going to talk to Sebastian Siniatowski in the next hour. At the NASDAQ, it is the New York Police and Fire, Widows, and Children's Benefit Fund.
How great is that fund? Holy
and of course, we'll have remembrances of 9/11 tomorrow. Meantime, though, Jim, get this market underway. Speaking of financials, Charlie Scharf on Squawk today painting a fairly benign picture for consumers, although he did say the low end is spending what they have.
Yes, he did, but I think that people should recognize that his buyback, which is the way he really communicates things, he stepped it up rather dramatically, and also he has that asset cap taken off. Charlie, remarkable banker, stock up 15% for the year. We have a big position for Travel Trust. I think it goes much higher. Charlie has got that bank moving, and the multiple's too low.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
Well, you've been a believer for quite some time.
Well, I think Charlie's remarkable. He's done so much good in the banking group. He's turned around Wells. There were a lot of people felt Wells would never come back.
What is a more appropriate multiple then for Wells?
Well, I mean, look, it's never going to return to where it was, right? Because that was when Warren Buffett loved it, so it had such a halo and where he's completely out of the darn thing. But it's at 13. I think it should go to 15. Okay, which would move it very nicely.
I mean, it is worth noting the discrepancy in the banking industry in terms of J.P. Morgan with an $816 billion market value, and then everybody else.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Alcaraz and Skinner, although in this case it's only one, and then everybody else. But
well, look, I remember when
not Skinner.
when I got out of school, you didn't apply to J.P. Morgan. That would be just terrific to apply. My friends who work there just absolutely love it. People the culture is so fantastic there. And David, you know that you saw Jamie Dimon talk to Leslie Pickers. He's just different.
No, it is. But you could add, Bank of America, Citi, and Goldman Sachs added up probably don't equal the market cap of J.P. Morgan at this point.
The reach of J.P. Morgan is extraordinary.
A lot of presentations yesterday. Blackstone talking about an investment boom, offsets to tariff inflation. Jamie did say the economy was weakening. AXP, spending patterns holding more than the headlines would suggest.
Yes, I thought that was very important. That stock has been a rocket ship. People keep fighting it. That's a big mistake. Steve Squeri doing a remarkable job. I had someone call the other day and complain about the stock, and I said, it's at an all-time high. It's been moving, and you're unhappy. I mean, people are getting greedy.
Speaking of greedy,
What do you got?
let's just take a quick look at Oracle. It is up that 32%. It is now has a more than roughly $900 billion market value.
Overnight.
It is incredible, as Jim said. Perhaps for some people who own it, it is life-changing. I saw you just post that on X. And for Larry Ellison, not going to be life-changing. But if you guys want to do the math or do the math at home with us, we're talking 1.158 billion shares times 325.
He's so good, that guy.
If you want to get a number. Which will get you close to the world's wealthiest man.
Just the market cap added alone this morning, or since last night's close, would be above 200 billion. That's larger than all but 42 S&Pers.
I wonder whether there's some people out there that changes the political equation, starts thinking. We had we had that great author the other day talking about Patagonia and about how much he feels billionaires have really kind of wrecked the country to some degree. I do know. Let's see, give David a quiz. No man is an island except for Larry, right?
That's right. Which one does he own?
Lanai. Which is in Hawaii is fabulous. He's got a great island.
It's funny, by the way, don't forget he controls Paramount, but that's $6 billion roughly in equity. Think about what he's just made on paper today.
He could go buy what?
Yeah.
He could buy a lot of NFL
It's unlimited
teams.
funds. And he was a large owner, continued large owner in Tesla as well.
Right.
None of that adding up to anywhere near, I was going to do the math, the net worth that he has right now.
You detect in the conference call that he's a competitive man.
Yeah, I understand
Maybe the
that.
most ever.
I
Joyfully
understand that.
competitive.
Guys, as strong as Oracle is, you do need to take a look at Synopsys this morning.
Oh, you had to bring that up.
I did have to bring it up because we do tend to cover other stocks here, Jim. It's a well-owned hedge fund name, and it is ugly, very ugly today. Almost very similar market cap loss to the gain at Oracle.
And you think
problems in China, a number of downgrades as well. As you see, the headlines there in terms of revenues below estimates. It was. Their design IP business missed third quarter expectations by 25%. They did attribute it to China export restrictions that compounded weakness and Intel foundry uncertainty as well. They are a big seller into Intel which represents 12% of their sales.
Intel crushed them.
You do.
I really do, because when you look at China matters, but they have been very close to Intel. Intel foundry. Intel's got real problems. I don't know.
They had a deal held up in China for ages, and then it got approved. And a lot of people thought, the Ansys deal, it's a new world for them in China. And there were a lot of hedge funds and the like playing the pro forma, in other words, what the combined company would look like. And they're sorry they did today with that brutal decline in shares of Synopsys.
And that had been a clockwork stock, Carl. You just knew you could buy Synopsys, be it ancillary to own. These guys have big relationships with NVIDIA. I thought NVIDIA would be held back by Synopsys.
But it's not. It's up almost 4% on the Oracle numbers.
NVIDIA was only up 1.8% on the Oracle numbers initially.
Well, now it's up.
Now it's starting to roll. I think that. Remember Wednesday, where the best days of NVIDIA were behind them? I heard that from a series of analysts. Best day behind them. You actually heard that. That's like Apple, 300 points at best days.
People looked at that last quarter and they were less than.
Hasn't been this much below the 50 since April. I mean, it's clearly going through something. By the way, TSM August revenue was pretty good.
Wow.
Best month since April.
Those guys are fantastic.
For Taiwan Semi.
Yep, almost 34 year on year. That's going to be a fresh
Which, of course, as we should point out, they manufacture all of the chips that are designed by NVIDIA. Yeah.
Here's some AMD business. AMD is a winner in this also.
Yeah, AMD's up as well.
Great job.
Yep.
Maybe, what's interesting is Apple down a touch after the event yesterday. A lot of chatter about not pulling the pricing levers that some might have expected.
Apple has 4 out of 5 last times on a launch. It was down the same day, and then it's up an average of 13% 1 year later. If anybody cares for 1 year, I know we have a lot of shows, David, where they may be out of Apple by like 11:30. I think if you stay into 11:30, 2026, you'll make a lot of stuff.
You do.
I think this Apple iPhone 17, count me in. Count my daughters in. They typically are not interested in this tech. My daughter has an Apple iPhone 5, which is really pretty cool. It's kind of vintage.
But is it just what? It's just people's iPhones getting old and they're thin and the battery? What? What's going to motivate you to?
Lighter apparently on the thin. It's the thin. People are misunderstanding how great the thin is. And by the way, the translation from your ear so much cooler than what. Well, you know, that's how you put the buds in. You can translate, so I can instant. I mean, I was in Italy, and I was wearing my sunglasses inside, and in Belgium, and I'm like asking people, people thought you're filming them first of all with your
Meta glasses.
People don't really like. I was in the church looking at a painting. I'm wearing sunglasses. It's just a bad look.
There's a piece in the information today that Amazon is developing two pieces of eyewear to rival Meta.
No, it won't be two.
One for their drivers and then another for consumers. So the eyewear thing is getting serious.
Zuckerberg said that's going to be the principal way to do AI. I am still befuddled. I happen to love it. We all have those sunglasses, but David, if we go, let's say I went to the squawk party tonight, I was wearing sunglasses.
Yes.
I think you'd say, well, is there, your eyes okay?
Is there a problem? I know, I would say that.
Did you need drops?
Are you okay?
What?
I'm just trying to figure out his net worth, 1.15.
You're still with that stuff? Get Robert Franklin.
373 billion. Okay. I was thinking about Ellison because I'm also thinking about Musk, who still retains the position, I believe, is the richest man in the world. One day we're going to have a trillionaire, by the way, at this rate, and maybe not even that long from now.
What are you, like Lenin? Are you going to be like a Lenin thing?
I don't know. Trillionaire seems a little weird to me.
What is to be doing? I'll give you that. What
seems a little weird to me. Yes, Chernyshevsky. I've told you so many times.
I have to tell you that when we get to $1 trillion, there will be people who say, maybe we should distribute that money. There are some candidates going to say, well, Bernie Sanders, we have Vermont. As Vermont goes, so goes Vermont.
Well, you're not that far from $1 trillion now when you add Musk and Ellison, just the two of them together.
Well, a lot of people feel, isn't that great? I wonder if the president thinks it's great. Like, we should have more trillionaires. Let's create more trillionaires. I think we should create more.
You think we should have more trillionaires?
No, I think we should be like Senator Moynihan did, whom I loved and was one of my professors, which says we should have a guaranteed income and it should go up. He was a Republican. Well, he's a Democrat.
No, he was a Democrat.
I thought that Moynihan was a genius.
Yes, he was. You know where he went to school?
He went to
Yeah, he did.
Nice. Very
Everybody
nice.
associates him with Harvard.
Holy cow, that book, Politics of Guaranteed Income, may have been the best economic I've ever read.
Guys, you know, we did hear from Musk. He was on a podcast, and it goes to the story we've been following this week about the sale. Sorry, say again, Chip?
What are you talking about?
Oh, we don't have it. All right, we don't have it.
We'll get to the
That's like squawk. People say, hey,
yes,
you have it?
Gary Owens and laughing.
Hello?
I did want to get you on Chewy, which it's a light earnings week, but this is one, and it's not responding well.
You know, I went over it, and I didn't think it was nearly as bad as the sellers. I think they ought to come in and realize that Sumit Singh has done the stock since 19 when he came on Mad Money and said, listen, our stock's going down. It's been straight up. I think it's a very interesting level to buy it. I think it's got good recurring revenue. People should stop panicking on Chewy. Just stop. Stop.
Stop what?
Stop panicking on Chewy.
Okay, I'll stop.
And then really quick, Jim, on Novo, 9,000 jobs getting cut.
I know, and I think that, look, I think that maybe if you don't advertise, maybe people go with that one, because remember CBS puts you that one.
Yeah.
That will go over there. You know what? I think Vlad Tenev is ready.
Great.
Robinhood?
Great.
Great.
Yeah, start the interview. Awesome. Can't wait.
Well, Robinhood, by the way, is hosting. This is the only reading I can ever do in my whole life. It's hosting the summit in Vegas. Vegas. How do you like that? There's something interesting, right? It's unveiling new products for traders, including a new social network that I think is very exciting. I actually do, not just the thing I'm reading. Joining us now to discuss first on CNBC is Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev. Vlad, this is just wild because you know that this could be like Reddit, except for it's real money. So people are able to see right now at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. how much Oracle was being bought on Robinhood.
How are you guys doing? That's right, Robinhood Social. We unveiled it among a bunch of other innovations and new products for our traders. And I think this is going to be a great source of information for people that are using the platform to hedge their risks, speculate. I think people are going to love it.
I totally agree, but I think what's most interesting, if you go in to be able to get into, say, the Oracle or the Robinhood, you're greeted with what I think maybe is the greatest innovation for Gen Z I have seen. Tell us about your IRA, because it is dynamite.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about what we encourage and incentivize through our various promos and matches, it's retirement. So the journey of a customer through the Robinhood platform is they usually come in because they're interested in buying a particular stock, you know, one of the innovation stocks, whether it be a Tesla, Nvidia, Amazon, or many others that are at the frontier of innovation and technology. So they come in to buy a stock, sometimes a crypto, they become a gold member, and then they start putting a lot of their money into Robinhood. We think we can be a place for not just their active trading, but also their retirement savings, their cash that they want to earn interest on. We're really building what I call a financial super app. We want to be the place where you can meet all of your financial needs at the lowest cost and with the best possible user experience. I think the product velocity that we saw last night is just an example of how much work we've done, but also how much work there remains to be done.
Okay, so I was on my Robinhood account this morning, and I did not see the social. Of course, I saw all the other great things, but am I just not looking at it right, or is it not out yet for regular people?
Yeah, so we announced, I want to say, 9 products last night. Also 2 more that our customers requested, and we had a live poll actually at the event that asked customers what they wanted to see us build next, which is the first time anyone's done that to my knowledge. So not all of them are available same day, some of them are, but social will actually be going live to customers early next year. So it was a little bit of a preview of what's to come.
Oh, good. I thought I didn't know how to navigate the site. I appreciate that. And let's talk about gambling. Let's talk about predictive. If I want one site for my capital, and I really do, and I happen to like DraftKings very much, and I do daily fantasy with my kids stuff, but can I have everything on my Robinhood?
You can have many things. Prediction markets, as you mentioned, is one of the new exciting things that Robinhood is leading in. And you have a bunch of different events that you can trade if you're a trader. You can also use the prediction markets as a source of information for what traders are doing and where we think the world is going to go. For example, you've got CPI coming in later this week. We know we had producer price index coming in a little bit earlier, but there's actually markets on how many Fed rate cuts are anticipated in September or through the end of the year. And we also have prediction markets on the consumer price index, which I think is a valuable source of macro information as well.
Now, I did want to ask you about migration from crypto. I know that you and I have talked periodically. We talked before you had your app, which I think is so good. But I've always felt that I wanted people to go in for crypto, even go in for options, even go in for 0-day, but then maybe gravitate and do more traditional investing along with that. Are you seeing that, or are people because you're known, of course, as being crypto, which, by the way, I love and don't think is a negative at all. But I do want to see people also do a little bit more of a conservative side going with crypto. Are you seeing that yet?
So here's the interesting thing. A lot of people do think that there's, a lot of folks initially think that there's a migration. Maybe someone comes in as a trader and then eventually goes into more passive retirement or index funds. But what actually happens, what we've been seeing among our most engaged customers, is they come in through trading and they end up opening a bunch of accounts. And one of the new features that has been very requested by customers is actually having multiple individual accounts. So we released that yesterday. Now you can have up to 10 individual brokerage accounts in addition to your retirement and of course the joint accounts. So what we end up seeing is our most active customers are opening up a lot of accounts, and they not only do their active trading, but they also have their retirement, they also open up a joint account. But it's not like they migrate, they just bring more and more of their wallet to us. And I think that's what we consider a healthy customer relationship. We should really just be helping you with all of your financial needs. And banking is coming soon. I know a lot of people are excited about that. So we think we're close to being able to help you with your entire financial life, if not already there for most people.
Well, I got to tell you, before I hand it off to the others, that I'm always amazed. I mean, for instance, your transparency in these new products is fantastic. I'm always amazed about how you're not one step ahead, but maybe 10 steps ahead of the so-called posse. The other firms just seem to not understand younger people. You do. The gulf between them and you just continues to grow. Aren't you surprised that no one even imitates you, and yet it is so electric for people who are between the ages of 21 and 30?
Yeah, I think one of the advantages we have over incumbents, and the incumbents in our space have a lot going for them, but they're not exactly magnets for amazing talent, particularly in product and software engineering. I think the benefit we had from setting up the company in Silicon Valley and being headquartered there and recruiting out of places like Stanford, MIT, just the top engineering programs, is, if you're the top engineer, we're competing with the AI companies. We're not competing with the discount brokerages. And I think really product velocity, business results are downstream of the great talent that we've been able to cultivate across all levels at Robinhood.
Hey, Vlad, we spend a lot of time on this program talking about the split in the country between Americans who own assets and those who don't. And I'm wondering, given some of the pressures we keep hearing about at the low end, if you think that kind of customer acquisition, not stealing share, but bringing new people into equities, for example, or even crypto, is that going to get more challenging?
I think it's going to become more important. You guys probably have seen the Invest America initiative that Robinhood's been a part of and encouraging. We were at the White House a couple of months for the unveiling of that. It was part of the budget reconciliation bill. And that's going to give every newborn child $1,000 jump-started by the federal government into a brokerage account. And I think as we talk about AI disrupting the labor market, really there's going to be a lot of change. And I think what that's going to make is just a bigger need for everyone to be owners in our economy. And I think that needs to be encouraged at all levels, starting from literally newborns to adults. And I view it as Robinhood's mission to actually encourage that, to make sure we navigate this transition to an economy that AI drives a huge part of as well as possible. I think that's going to be very, very important for us. And I think we're going to have to continue to do more to encourage stock ownership.
Yeah, especially because people may not have jobs. Speaking of stock ownership, your investors got to be very happy. I can't help but look at the more than 500% gain in your stock price. Are you stunned by what's happened this year to your stock, Vlad?
Well, you know what they say, the score takes care of itself. I think we're just focused on the fundamentals of the business. We want to build as good of a company as possible. We look at ourselves and we just see so many ways where we could be just doing better, executing better. So, we think there's a lot to do. We're certainly not resting on our laurels or really looking at the stock price as validation.
All right, so Vlad, one last question because you're at your conference. Are you detecting a level of optimism that is actually, I find, not in sync with a lot of people in the country, meaning people who really feel like, you know what, I have a shot at getting rich and I'm doing it?
I think we see our customers think about it a little bit differently. I mean, our customers, particularly the ones here, understand stock ownership, understand equity. They're investing in companies that they believe in. If you look at our portfolios, they tend to be concentrated in these frontier industries like artificial intelligence, electric vehicles that have been doing particularly well in the past 12 months or several years. So there's definitely optimism here, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily evenly distributed. There's still, double-digit percentage of Americans that don't own stock. And we'd like people to own more. I think that's going to be more and more important. So the job's really never done. If you look at high net worth individuals, the overwhelming high percentage of of their resources comes from stock ownership. So I think there's more that needs to be done to encourage it at lower income levels.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Congratulations on all your success. I remember when it was just an app and you've kind of lapped everybody. Well done. Well done, Vlad Ten of Robinhood.
Financial super app now. Thanks, guys.
Gotcha. Absolutely.
As we go to break, watch bonds today. We will get a 10-year note auction at 1. The 3-year auction yesterday was pretty well received. Got the 10-year lower, but the 30-year yield is higher, up to 4.72. Although overall, with equities pretty tame, the VIX with the 14 handle. Once again, stay with us. It's time for Jim and Seth trading.
Can't find any sellers here in Oracle up 90. Carl, maybe this is going to be the one that goes to be up 100 and be $1 trillion stock by the end of the day. I think it is certainly doable, and I think that when you heard Vlad Tenev, the CEO of Robinhood, talk about how people need to should own more individual stock, and then you get up at 3, and then you watch Oracle trading up mostly through Robinhood and be able to get a real transparent look. You say to yourself, wow, this is not a casino. This is the most exciting thing for a lot of people's lives. I got to congratulate Vlad for what he's built. It's really incredible. I remember when he came on when I was out in San Francisco. He had an app. He said, "I really don't know stocks. What do you think of this app?" And I said, "Oh, why? Everyone's going to own stocks." Well, it's finally happening.
Yeah, and you've been after them to elongate their.
Oh, I wanted the wallet, and I've got
yes.
it. Look, I can't own stocks. I just love the site, though. I do. I love it.
Jim, exciting day. We'll see you tonight.
Yes, congratulations. Talking to Klarna. Congratulations to you guys on Squawk.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. We have to bring back the excitement without bringing back the greed, and I think it's possible.
That's a good way to put it. Mad Money, 6 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. The CEO of Klarna coming up as we await the first trade. Don't go anywhere.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to Squawk on the Street. I'm Sarah Eisen with Carl Quintanilla and David Faber, live as always from Post 9 of the New York Stock Exchange. Stock starting off strong. The S&P's up another 0.5% right now. What's leading? No surprise, information technology. Thank you, Oracle, and that incredible now almost 40% rise in the stock. But also, strong day for Broadcom, up 7%. Supermicro up 5%. Nvidia's rallying 4%. So really the entire AI trade back front and center. Energy's also higher today. Industrials, utilities, materials, real estate stocks. Those are all working as we sit at record highs for the S&P 500. As for treasuries, take a look. Can't wait to talk about this inflation report that we got. Well, it's leading the bond market to rally further. The 10-year yield, 4.061%, so just above 4%. The 2-year rallies more sharply, 3.5% there. Although the 30-year, I would note, is selling off with a little bit of a firmness. Today, a major IPO in the fintech space. Klarna, the CEO, will join us in a First on CNBC interview ahead of the Buy Now, Pay Later company's first trade here at the big board. Plus, Oracle shares exploding higher, nearing $1 trillion now in market cap after the company's bullish guidance stunned Wall Street. Is it too late to get in if you missed the pop? And then Fed chair contender and Jefferies chief market strategist David Zervos will be here at Post 9 with the case for a jumbo cut Yes, he is now calling for 75 basis points at next week's Fed meeting.
Meantime, PPI was a big story, but we're getting some inventories. Let's get back to Rick Santelli. Hey, Rick.
Yes, indeed. That PPI was a big story, all right, Carl. The monthly numbers turning negative first time since April. Wholesale inventories and trade sales. These are coming out July final on inventories. It moves from 2/10 to up 1/10 from the mid-month read. But on trade sales, this is a fresh July number, Carl, and it is a biggie. We're expecting up 2/10, up 1.4%. That is the best since February when it was 2%, and it's the second best number of the year. And there's a positive revision in the rearview mirror from up 0.3 to more than doubling it to up 0.7. It is a good thing. We all know that there has been tariff-related issues regarding inventories. To see the sales whittling that down is a good thing. And interest rates, well, Sarah nailed it. 4% is what everybody's paying attention to. It's basically the low yield close of all of 2025. It may be a tough road to get there, especially on a closing basis due to all the debt and deficit issues. Remember, supply. Today we have 10-year, tomorrow we have 30-year. We'll pay very close attention to both of those auctions at 1 o'clock Eastern. Sarah, back to you.
Okay, yes, we'll be looking for you for those auction results. Thank you, Rick Santelli. Let's touch on what we got this morning, the inflation report. So this is wholesale inflation, PPI. We'll get a better look at what the consumer's paying tomorrow. But this is a wow number because we did see it actually fall. Who would have thought? Everyone was so worried about tariffs, and we get a negative 0.1% number on the monthly number. Go to core, strip out food and energy. We know the Fed pays attention to core. Guess what? Also a negative number. Now, I don't want to say that tariffs aren't having any impact, because if you do look beneath the surface, you see goods prices still elevated. Core goods prices rising consistently, up 0.3%. But services, and we're a services economy, and this would be evidence that it's spreading into the broader economy, down 0.2%. What is the takeaway? We just don't have an inflation problem. And this is just more evidence for the Fed that it should be cutting rates, because if they were worried about tariffs producing inflation and that's why they were not cutting, guess what? 6 of the last 7 PPI reports have come in worse than expected, lower than expected, which is actually good news on the inflation front.
Unless you're a producer itself, because margin pressure in machinery, in equipment, and chemicals down by almost 4%. I mean, they are eating all of this.
It's competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to protect their market share.
Yeah.
It's good news for inflation. It's obviously bad news for their margins and for their ultimately for their businesses. But it's good news because they're not able to pass that on. And if inflation was the big worry, then that's just not happening.
Right. No, it's more of a we've always said inflation or corporate margins. We're definitely leading in the corporate margin front, although core goods, 3-month annualized, 3.74. It's not like this is not happening at all.
I mentioned that it's in the goods, but we don't want to see it spreading into the services, because the way that economists and Fed likely will be looking at the goods is that that's a temporary impact of tariffs. And if you need more evidence that this whole inflation thing is not happening, I mean, we did not talk about, but we saw small business survey come out yesterday, and yes, they were more confident, which I mentioned, but guess what? They also were not raising prices as much as the month before. If you look at the survey, one of the questions there is price changes. Percent of price changes goes down to 21% of businesses raising prices. That's down from 24%. You want to see that number going in that direction, which is lower, which just means that price increases aren't as much of a thing. And then we just briefly flashed the inflation expectations, what the Fed cares a lot about, to see if they're anchored. We're now at the lowest since July on 5-year forwards, which is just a market-based measure of inflation. It's still elevated compared to where we were pre-COVID.
Sarah, where does
down.
something like electricity prices or the cost of your health insurance come in terms of where we see that data and its influence?
We see it in the PPI today.
Okay.
I mean, that was definitely part of the electricity prices were high. And I have to think that's more related to the trend around the investment in data centers.
No, it
and
is.
AI,
I'm just curious because they seem to be going up at a
particular.
fairly significant rate, and then we also know the pressure in terms of health insurance and health care, and yet even with that.
I mean, some of the healthcare numbers are high, but they have moderated a little bit, which was good in today's number. But to your point, look, it's not like we're not paying higher prices. Let's see what CPI shows tomorrow. And, you know, a lot of people extrapolate from the PPI numbers that go into core PCE, which is just another inflation measure that the Fed cares more about. And they were kind of mixed. Airfares are still rising, you know, 1%. Portfolio management fees are still rising because the stock market has been so strong. So it's more evidence that the Fed doesn't have to be as alarmed about inflation, but we're still going to be paying close attention to some of these reports as they come out.
All right, let's move on to another surprising number. Shares of Oracle soaring to thanks to AI demand. Company now expecting its book revenue from its core cloud business will exceed $500 billion. That overshadows what was a quarterly miss on earnings. Oracle is amongst our next guest's top holdings. Joining us, Tony Wong, T. Rowe Price Science and Tech Fund Manager. Day like today, you can probably never own enough of Oracle. Tony, I mean, the superlatives just keep piling in from all the analysts who follow it, given that guidance. Give me your take on it, what it means, not just for Oracle, but for the overall AI spend and for the sort of ecosystem that's so important to this overall stock market.
Yeah, so like super impressive results, absolutely blockbuster. And I think what's been underappreciated by the Oracle story is just like them emerging as a key hyperscaler. And I think they have a cost technology advantage around latency. They deliver the best cost performance. And that probably is because they have a cleaner sheet approach and they have networking technology that helps them do that. And then on top, I think, you know, it's really encouraging is that they're building out a lot more of the software that's very AI oriented. And so I think the debate of like, oh, this was just because of a shortage, you know, I think that this quarter proves that they are actually competitively very well positioned. In terms of the AI trade, I mean, it's obviously like very good for the AI trade going forward. I think these expectations came in far above expectations, and so I think you're seeing the stocks move a lot higher.
You know, there is some question, at least in terms of the profitability of these contracts that are far above, in the backlog, far above what anybody estimated. Do you have a sense in terms of what it's going to mean for a company that right now, it is important to point out, is spending so much, so therefore free cash flow is suppressed. It's actually not even there at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going through an investment cycle, number one. But I think you can look back at like the cloud era when the companies were all spending a lot. And I think this is a bigger opportunity than just cloud 10 years ago. So in my opinion, you know, as long as you're seeing these models deliver a ton of productivity for companies and the dream is out there, you know, to me, like it is too big of an inflection in technology to not grow. And I think a lot of it's scale oriented if you think about it. So there's a virtuous flywheel around that as well.
What did people miss on Oracle? Why did it seem so misunderstood and surprising?
Yeah, well, I think that part of it is that you have a lot of software analysts that probably have some baggage around it being a slow growth company, and so you know, being infrastructure, you know, as the new S curve, as I would like to say, on the stock, probably didn't exactly fit into the software mindset necessarily. And as you guys point out, like this is all right now at lower margin than the overall business. But so I think you had to like kind of look through this investment cycle. But I think the bulls are right here in that you take a step back. Like the market loves like cloud growth, right? Like you own Microsoft, you own Amazon, Google, a lot big part because of cloud. And so I think the market's kind of coming around to that and seeing Oracle as like a strong competitive advantage.
Yeah, as it approaches incredibly $1 trillion market value after starting the day around $600 billion. Ultimately, you know, we always come back to the likes of NVIDIA. I know AMD also a big name for you. I guess nothing negative to see there as well, given this guidance from Oracle.
Yeah, well, I think that you know, the market was probably wondering about sustainability into 26 and 27. I think this is definitely a positive data point. I think that you are seeing the market just being so much bigger than what you know, people expect. I think a few years ago, we were debating like, oh, is it going to be NVIDIA that wins or AMD or Broadcom? And if you take a step back, like you probably overcomplicated things in that all the companies did really well. And there are various types of compute that you need, whether it's general purpose or custom. And so you know, to me, it's really exciting for the space, obviously. And you know, if the companies execute, there's plenty of TAM for each one, I think.
Tony, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
As we're talking, got a key confirmation vote just concluding for potential Fed Governor Myron. Let's get to Emily Wilkins in D.C. Hey, Emily.
Hey, David. Well, yes, the Senate Banking Committee just approved Stephen Myron to be the next Fed governor. That was a 13-11 vote, all Republicans voting for, all Democrats voting against. Now, of course, the question is, can he get that final vote before the Fed meeting next week? And the answer is maybe. There is technically still time for him to go to the floor and get that full Senate vote that would allow him to assume the position of Fed governor, at least for the next 4 months. And that was one of the things that came up in the hearing today, the concern about his dual role. If he's just taking a leave of absence from his role at the White House, can he truly be independent on the Fed? And certainly that was an argument that swayed a lot of Democrats to vote against him, but did not seem to keep any Republicans from supporting his nomination. A number of them have said that since he's just there for a short period of time, they don't see a problem. Guys?
All right, well, might not even need to be there. Looks like a lock for a Fed cut next week. Thank you, Emily. Emily Wilkins. Here's our roadmap for you for the rest of the hour. After the break, Fed Chair candidate David Zervas joins us with his reaction to this Myron vote and the case for a 75 basis point. Yep, that's a triple cut at next week's meeting.
Plus, it is IPO day for Klarna. The CEO of that fintech firm is going to join us right here at Post 9 ahead of that company's first trade.
And did Apple deliver for investors yesterday, or did they come up a bit thin on innovation? We'll talk about the big takeaways from that iPhone event as Squawk on the Street continues after this.
The Senate Banking Committee just voting along party lines to recommend Stephen Myron as a Fed governor. Steve Leisman with us to discuss. Not super surprising now that he's heading now for this final vote. Guess the question is, will he get inside the Fed before next week's meeting?
Right. I'll just be an old fuddy-duddy here, Sarah, and tell you I remember the days when a lot of these nominees to the Fed used to pass with bipartisan support. It's unfortunate this is the way to advance. Obviously, the concern about Myron holding on to his CEA chair spot, at least taking an unpaid leave of absence, was a concern among Democrats. I think the other side of this, though, is it's a very different situation, given that the judge last night, at least on a temporary basis, did issue a preliminary injunction keeping Lisa Cook in office. So The question becomes the extent to which the majority will be appointed by President Trump on the board. But I like your comment, and I want to extend your comment about how much it matters now. I think it's becoming apparent to the Federal Reserve that it does have to address more and more the employment side of the mandate. If today's PPI is a harbinger of things to come in the CPI, and you were right to say earlier that that is not necessarily always the case, I do have concerns about where the tariff payment is going to be made. In sense, is it at the margin level or is it at the consumer level? So right now, what we have is a situation where they seem to eat it at the wholesale level, and we'll see over time if that passes along to the consumer level.